This is me ranting about my favorite Otome game and hoping that you guys can pretty please play so we can talk about it. Bustafellows is one of my favorite Otome games and I am so excited that it finally has a sequel. I'm gonna be mostly giving like a first impression review on it, not like trying to give any spoilers, just giving you guys like an overview and also like some of my thoughts on it so far, mostly on like the opening chapter that's also in the demo as well. Also, thank you PQ Games for sending me a review code of Bustafellows Season 2. I'm super excited. I'm like so happy that they sent me a code over because I feel like I recommend Bustafellows a lot on this channel, so just wanted to shout out to PQ Games. But of course, even though I was sent a review code, all these thoughts are my own. And also, if this is your first time clicking on my channel, my name is Delaney. I love talking about video games over here chilling in this corner of the internet. Thank you so much to channel members supporting the channel as well, and let's get started. Bustafellows Season 2 is here. If you don't know what Bustafellows is, I'll give you a little rundown of it. So Bustafellows is set in this fictional world called New Siege. You get to play as Teta, and she is a freelance journalist. She works for the newspaper. She's very passionate about her job. One of the like most prominent things about her, she has this power where she can go back in time, but the one thing about this power is that her consciousness goes back in time. She basically goes back in time into someone else's body. She can't control whose body she goes into, and she basically tries to utilize this power as best she can when she's trying to change like very major events that have really dire consequences. It's very interesting that side of the game and just like her power. I do feel like Teta is a Otome game character. She has like a very solid voice. Like she doesn't feel very like copy and paste. I feel like with a lot of Otome games, it's kind of like a self-insert where so the character is a little bit more like a Mary Sue, but Teta does have like a very unique voice where she's like very hardworking and loyal. So anyway, in Bustafellows Season 2, it's pretty much a direct sequel to the events of the first game. So there are a lot of like loose ends that needed to be tied up from the first game. So in Season 2, it's kind of continue on from the main storyline. So I do recommend that you play the first game just because there are a lot of like twists and turns that happen in the first game that do get talked about in the sequel. Another thing about getting the first game as well is that you get a special episodes pertaining to like each individual character, which I think is pretty neat. It's on PC and Nintendo. So in this world of Bustafellows, it's set in like it's kind of like a crime thriller with some romance within it. That leads us into our 5 fictional boys. First one is a Limbo, and he is nicknamed the Cricket Lawyer. He always takes on cases that seem almost impossible to win, usually with people who are most likely guilty, and he figures out a way to get them off on the charges. But he does do a lot of pro bono work in helping out more marginalized characters and people using his like skills as a lawyer, which is what's interesting about him. Then we have Shu, who is like kind of like a mercenary assassin. It's a little bit of a gray area there, but he also helps out Limbo with his office, like doing undercover like research and things like that, and basically like his like right hand man to helping him with like his office like things with cases and whatnot. Then we have Mozu, who works in the coroner's office. He's actually the head coroner, even though he's so young. He's very empathetic to the bodies that he cares for in the coroner's office, and I really think his character is so interesting just because like he's very like soft-spoken and sometimes he seems like he doesn't have any emotions, but you can tell he has a lot of emotions, especially because he basically works with like the dead. Next character is Helvetica, and he is a plastic surgeon, and he works with making people beautiful. Very positive about plastic surgery and how it's basically giving a person the opportunity to be the best person they want to be. It's very interesting how he talks about plastic surgery as a doctor and all of that. He's very flirty and all over. Honestly, I'm gonna be real, he's like my least favorite character because he can be a little bit too flirty. And the last character is Scarecrow, and he basically deems himself the boss of the underworld. He's very nerdy and he works on the computer all day, but he does a lot of like undercover work where he can like hack into surveillance and things like that. So all of these guys basically work together to help the underdogs of New Siege City. It's a really interesting how they all work together. They're like basically kind of like a found family, pretty much like the premise of Bustafellows, like the world of it, which I just really love when it comes to all these characters. They all have like their unique voice, like I said before, but also I really enjoy the side characters as well. I feel like when I'm playing Bustafellows that it's like I am in this world, and it's like even when I'm closing out the game, it still feels like these people exist in a way, like outside like outside of me playing through the visual novel, because they all have like their very like sense of self to them. So I'm gonna give some of my first impression thoughts so far. I've only right now, I just got through the prologue. I will say this game is there's a lot of content in Bustafellows season 2. There's a lot of content in the original as well, because there's like different side routes, but yeah, there was like a few things they took out of the demo. So when I played the full prologue, it does give you a lot of insight into like the continuity of things that happened in the previous game, which makes me so happy that I actually went back and played the original game just to get a refresher. I played through like the first like prologue chapter as well there, and a lot of that is referenced in the season 2. So I do highly recommend make sure you play the first one before you play the second one. Even though there is new stories and new characters being added, it does add a bit more context to some of the things that you're encountering. But so far it starts out slow honestly with the prologue, but then it really does pick up as you're getting towards the end. I do think that the choices, like there's not really a lot like of moments where it's like a lot of choice in the beginning, so there is some like quick time events where you kind of have to like make a decision really fast, and that's like one of the aspects. I think that's like a newer aspect in this, because I feel like the quick time events are faster than the previous game. This one in particular does focus on something that happened 7 years ago with like a big fire, and that's like the main mystery. My favorite thing when it comes to like the Bustafellows, I feel like that's emphasized more so in this game, is just like the feeling of like the gray area of things. Like it's a crime thriller, so it does focus on like good and bad, but sometimes it also focuses on that gray area of like, is this morally right, is this morally good, or is there like a in-between? And that's what I really like about Bustafellows, especially season 2. I do also feel like it covers like very realistic topics, and so I would say this like Otome game would be more for like 18 plus than past Otome games that I've played. Like it's very much like has an adult voice to it, because it does cover very heavy dark topics, and I just think it's interesting how they handle these subjects and how they go about like the like how the characters are handling these things as well. You can tell internally like certain characters, it takes a toll on them and mentally, and just like how they're coping with certain story outcomes, which I really enjoy, because it makes these characters feel more realistic, and it makes what you're playing like have more stakes to it, with like how the characters are interacting with the world and the things that's happening around them. So that's why I find Bustafellows to be actually one of my favorite Otomes, because it kind of like really makes you like think about what you're reading. It makes you really think about like the characters, and like, can you condone what these characters are doing, or do you agree with what they're doing? Like it makes you question that. It's not just like a black and white, like good or bad, you know. You just kind of have to question yourself on what you feel is right while you're playing the game. That's what I feel like is the beauty of Bustafellows, especially in season 2. And if you're really interested in like crime thriller romances, like I kind of sometimes when I'm playing, it reminds me a bit of like Ace Attorney, but you're able to like actually romance the characters, you know. Yeah, that's my thoughts so far on Bustafellows season 2, my first impression thoughts. You guys let me know, have you played Bustafellows? Are you interested in it? Let me know down below. Who's your favorite character? I want to say aside from the boys, my favorite character is Carmen. Like she is just so funny, and I just love her. Like every time she's on the screen, I'm always like smiling, because I just really love her like whimsicalness, and yeah, she's my top favorite. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day as always. Bye.